Hello there guys, Davinator right here, and today I got another movie review for you. Now, yesterday was December 18th, the release of Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. I saw it yesterday. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to see it yet on the release date, but I did. Guys, I've been so worried about this movie. I really was not sure if it would be good. Okay, here's the thing. It was directed by J.J. Abrams, and just from the trailers you can tell, okay, the acting is definitely better than the prequels, and, I was sure that it was going to be at least good, but even if it was good, good's not good enough when it's Star Wars, because Star Wars is supposed to be great, which is why the prequels were very disappointing, of course, but everyone knows that at this point. But yeah, I really wanted it to be great, not just good. Maybe that's just me being spoiled, but it's Star Wars. Come on. But I saw it yesterday, and yeah, I was worried for no reason. This movie is awesome. It's really, really, really good. One of the best movies of this year so far. Without a doubt, it was so good. But let's elaborate that. So, I don't want to just do a big geek rant or anything, so I want to actually elaborate points. So, I have a couple notes written down here, so, so that I can get to my points pretty easily. And, alright, let's see. The movie looks incredible. It really is an amazing looking movie. J.J. Abrams, I've always known he's a great director. This movie solidifies him as one of my favorite directors, possibly ever. He's directed several A-plus movies before this. For me, A-plus movies, and yeah. But this movie really solidifies him as, he's absolutely one of the best directors in the business. At least working right now, but possibly ever. I love J.J. Abrams. That guy, man, the cinematography in this movie is so dynamic. It's the best cinematography in the entire series, except for maybe The Empire Strikes Back, but they're very different styles of cinematography. This movie moves along at a very fast pace. This movie is very fast paced, possibly the most fast-paced film in the series, and that's saying something, because the original Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, those are some pretty fast-moving movies, especially the original Star Wars, but this movie might be even more fast-paced. But it's not too fast-paced. Every single scene is the exact right length. You get just enough time with these characters. If it was just a little bit too fast, if it was just a, couple seconds shorter with these scenes, really, it would be too fast. But this movie just rides that line, and it is spot on in regards to the pacing. And yeah, this great visuals just really help that. The cinematography, it's so dynamic, constantly sweeping around over and under things. There's great tracking shots. The action is filmed so well. More on that later. And yeah, and the special effects are amazing. Now, the CGI is great. And there's a lot of practical effects in this movie, too. There is a lot of sets. There's very few instances to where you get people just walking around in a completely green screen environment. Even in, parts where characters are walking around in green screen environments, it's a large portion of it is real. They actually built it. It's a set. Or they're shooting on location. But yeah, the CGI is seamless. This movie has great CGI, and there are two CGI characters in this movie. And I've heard some people say that they feel a little bit out of place. There's such an emphasis on using as much practical effects as possible, but then you have two fully CGI characters. It's a little bit Jar Jar Binks-ish. I thought the CGI was great on both of them, and plus I just like the characters very much. And that brings me to the characters. Okay, obviously this movie has Han Solo. This movie has Princess Leia. It has Luke, technically. I won't say anything else about that. So it has all the old people that you love. And they are great. They're not just phoning in their performances. Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, they are great in this movie. They give wonderful performances, especially Harrison Ford. He's so good. And Peter Mayhew is back playing Chewie. He's great. And Anthony Daniels is back playing C-3PO. Just all the people that they brought back, they are wonderful in this movie. But if I were only going to talk about them, that would be so unfair to Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, and Oscar Isaac, because John Boyega's Finn and Daisy Ridley's Rey are terrific characters in this movie. I'm serious, and their performances are fantastic. Seriously, this movie has possibly the best acting of the entire series, and that is saying something. This movie has amazing acting. John Boyega was brilliant in this movie as Finn. He's so funny, he's so clever, he's likable. You completely understand his character. He's just so great. And Rey is just such a likable character. She's really cool, and for like several minutes, you get to just see her character like walking around and just doing something on the desert planet of Jakku. But it doesn't matter because her just performance is so great, and the dialogue in this movie is great too. This is a very clever and funny movie. The dialogue is very fast and it's witty. It's very good. It's a very funny movie, very fast and entertaining. The action is incredible in this movie. This is one of the best action films I've seen the past couple of years. I'm serious. And, I mean, this, rivals Mad Max Fury Roads. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road definitely has different action. That's more just chaos, cars ramming into each other. It is different, but this movie has terrific action. The cinematography and the action is just so great. And the lightsaber fight, without giving anything away, was great. It wasn't exactly what I expected it to be, but it was a great lightsaber fight. And speaking of lightsabers, the Kylo Ren. I mean, well, not really speaking of lightsabers, but I mean, what I meant is, Kylo Ren, he participates in the lightsaber battle. That was a poor segue to start talking about Kylo Ren, but Kylo Ren, I'm going to say very little about his character. I will probably do a spoiler review later on, but yeah. He's a great character. You completely understand why he does what he does. By the end, you kind of feel sorry for him. You understand everything. He's just a great character. I love Kylo Ren. And he was not what I expected him to be. At all, really. I mean, he starts out being the character I expect him to be, but as he goes on, you start to see layers peel back and, you understand who this person is, and it was great. Very good character, very good acting. He's pretty intense and scary in this movie. He's, you really feel his way as a villain. That guy's bad. He's really cool in this movie. And I love the actor who played him. I can't remember his name. But and again, back to the action. The action in this movie is so good. The space battles are great. The chase scenes are great. The gunfights are terrific. And all the actors, they are involved in the action pretty heavily. Even Harrison Ford, he's actually doing some pretty cool stuff in the action. And it's really cool. I mean, there's a couple moments in this movie during the action scenes where something happened, my jaw dropped. I mean, there's really great stuff. And speaking of jaw drop, not just in regards to the action, how really cool stuff happened in the action, I mean, just in the plot and the story and just things that happened all of a sudden, revelations, and just 5 minutes into this movie, Kylo Ren, I won't say, but he does something with the Force. I was I didn't just, my jaw didn't just drop, I literally gasped. I was I gasped out loud a couple times in this movie, and my jaw dropped twice as many times as I gasped. I mean, this movie has some moments, I mean, man, but that part at the beginning, that was so cool. I really want to talk about it, but I'll talk about that in the spoiler review. Yeah, I will do a spoiler review, that's not a maybe, I'll do it. I mean, I'm not trying to just gush and be a fanboy over this movie. I'm not just I'm not doing what Chris Stuckman recently coined Phantom Menacing, to where I'm just I was so excited for the movie, and it's terrible, but I'm just going to say it's good because, I've tricked myself into thinking, no, this is a terrific movie. It really was fantastic. There's just so many great things in the movie. And you may be wondering why I didn't give a plot synopsis at the beginning. Well, the reason is I don't really want to give anything away at all. Just from the trailers, you can't tell what the plot of this movie is. And I want you guys to feel the same way, because don't worry, trust me, I was involved in the story immediately. Even my dad has been skeptical for this movie ever since, before even the first teaser trailer, for 14, 15 months. He's been I'll see it when it comes out, obviously, but, it's probably, he's been very skeptical. He's just, the Phantom Menace burned him pretty bad, obviously, And so he just didn't want another thing to happen. 5 minutes into this movie, he was completely involved in the story, just watching the movie like a hawk. And yeah, my dad walking the movie, he was like, that movie was awesome. And I was like, I know, right? Fist bump. Well, I actually, no, we didn't fist bump. I don't know why I made that up. But anyways, the point is, like, the story is very involving. You really get invested in it. And also, without giving anything away, a certain Star Wars film has been, or phrase that weirdly. Hold on. This movie has been said to, like, too heavily borrow elements from a certain Star Wars film. I guess I won't say which, because that will give you too much of an idea of what the plot is in this movie. But I don't agree with those accusations. Okay, this movie, I noticed some similarities. Like, okay, I understand how this is similar to that, and this is similar to that, and blah, 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 blah. But, like, really, I was surprised in this movie how restrained this movie is with the fan service. Don't get me wrong, there's fan service, and it's great. It's not forced. It's really good fan service. It's hilarious. It's great. And yeah, I love the fan service, and it did make me geek out like it's supposed to, because it's fan service. But yeah, it's not overdone. And yeah, I mean, it's like Star Trek Into Darkness. Like, there's fan service, but it's not overdone. Or at least I didn't think so. Some people did, but I don't know. But yeah, this movie, I mean, like, yeah, it definitely does borrow elements, but there is a lot of new in this movie. This movie, like, I mean, I gloated a lot about how J.J. Abrams' direction and the cinematography in this movie, just all the visuals are great, but this movie has a very different visual style from any other Star Wars film you've ever seen. And you can tell that just from the trailers, but, you know, you might not have even picked up on it that much in the trailers. Like, you know, going into this movie, like, some people are going to be like, this just looks different. Like, some people who don't really, like, examine film or, like, think about, you know, like, oh yeah, films are made by people, you know, there's a cinematographer, like, people that don't really put thought into that, they just see movies as pure entertainment. Like, they're just going to be like, the movie just felt different, like, really weird. Yeah, and this movie does look different, but in the best possible way. This movie, there's a lot of new stuff that's brought to the table in this movie, but it mishes and mashes so well with the old, just like the new characters mish and mash with the old characters. And there was a certain point in this movie, like 40 minutes in, and I was like, I mean, they still haven't brought in, like, Han Solo yet. Like, what the heck? They still haven't brought in these characters. But then, like, I just thought that, but instantly I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't matter because Finn and Rey are awesome. And that's not to say that Han Solo and Chewie and Leia are not in the movie enough. They're in the movie the perfect amount. Yeah, this movie is fantastic. Like, go on, let me look at notes to see if there's anything. Oh yeah, BB-8. Why didn't I talk about BB-8? I was skeptical of BB-8. I wasn't sure if he would be utilized enough. I mean, like, I loved his design, but I was wondering if, you know, like, his design would be good, and that would be the only thing that added to his character. No. BB-8 is my man, or my droid, and, like, BB-8. What was that? I was laughing and trying to say BB-8 at the same time. That's how that happened. Anyways, BB-8 is great, and this movie is really funny and clever. I mean, and he's just, like, he's so cool to the point to where I'm like, he might be as cool, if not a tiny bit cooler than R2-D2. I mean, probably not, but they are at least, like, on the same level, or almost on the same level in my mind. I mean, and I love R2-D2, as with most people. But yeah, BB-8, great character, very funny. And yeah, the entire movie is just paced to perfection. It's so fast-paced, it's relentlessly exciting. And the story just comes at you really quickly, but it's great. And this movie is not at all like the Star Wars prequels, where it's just people sitting and talking, or walking and talking, or one person sitting, another person walking around the room and talking. There is very little just straight up expositional dialogue in this movie. Like, the story in the prequels was just told to you. Literally, the characters are talking about stuff like, oh, this is going to happen, that character's going to do this, and this thing just happened. And they're just talking and telling the audience the story the entire time. Show, don't tell does not apply to the prequels. It does apply to this movie. I mean, there are technically a couple scenes where, you know, there's expositional dialogue, but it was not as heavy as in the prequels. And also, the dialogue is just well written in this movie. J.J. Abrams has always been a great writer, and I love that they brought Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote the original Star Wars films, back to write for this movie. And yeah, this movie is just awesome. I love Kylo Ren. I love all the characters. Oh yeah, Oscar Isaac as Poe Poe Dameron, I think, right? Anyways, he's not actually in the movie all that much, but when he's in the movie, and like, here's the thing, he's not technically one of the main characters. He is a side character, so it's actually not a big deal that he's not in the movie all that much. So I'm definitely not saying that's a flaw with the movie. When he's in the movie, he's awesome. He's just a great pilot, and he's great in the space battles and action scenes, and I mean, and again, this movie has countless moments to where I was just like, I mean, this is a surprising movie, and without giving anything at all away, I will not give anything away at all as to the ending of this movie. But without giving anything away, this movie ends on the perfect note. Perfect. I am so excited to see episode 8 and then episode 9, and I can't wait to see these 3 Star Wars spin-off movies that are coming out alongside the new trilogy of movies. This movie does end on a cliffhanger. Like, absolutely, it ends on a cliffhanger. But you know what other movie does? What's that movie called? Oh yeah, The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, that movie ends on a big old freaking cliffhanger. And that movie is undeniably amazing. And, yeah, this movie ends on a cliffhanger, but a great cliffhanger. And I can't wait to see episode 8. This movie was just amazing. The only thing is that I'm sad that J.J. Abrams is not directing episode 8 or episode 9. That's a bummer. But, you know what? I mean, I'm going to trust Disney. I'm going to trust the people that they chose. I mean, they did a great job with this movie, so you know what? I'm going to quit worrying. I was worried for a couple of years, ever since it was announced that J.J. Abrams is going to be directing Star Wars. Like, oh wow, if it sucks, that's just going to make it even worse. Like, J.J. Abrams making basically his first bad movie, and it's a Star Wars movie, and we'll get another bad. I've been so worried. It was all for naught. There's no reason to worry at all. This movie is truly incredible. I mean, like, there are technically a couple tiny problems, but really the only problems I had in this movie were not problems. They were nitpicks, and in some cases, like, there were things to where I could understand someone having a problem with that, but I don't have a problem with it myself. I don't consider it. But the thing is, like, some of the things that are nitpicks or problems that other people don't have that I don't have, I'm going to talk about that more in the spoiler review. But yeah, so this review doesn't quite go on for 20 minutes long. I don't want this to go on too long, get boring. Basically, guys, yeah, Star Wars The Force Awakens was amazing. I mean, it's still registering in my brain that I just saw it. I just saw Star Wars Episode 7. We get a new trilogy, 2 new trilogies of Star Wars movies coming out alongside each other over the next 5 years. I mean, it's here. Star Wars Episode 7, it's here. I've been so scared, but it's amazing. It's an amazing movie, and I don't want to overhype it for anyone. Go into the movie with dry expectations like I did. Like, you know, go into the movie open-minded. But yeah, guys, I gotta give this movie an A+. It's incredible. It's one of the best films in the series. It's better than any of the prequels. Now, I love Revenge of the Sith. But whereas that's like an A- movie, meaning it's great. I mean, obviously this is an A+ movie, man. It's up there, great. I mean, I don't know. I might like this on the same level as the original Star Wars. It's not quite Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and I do like Return of the Jedi better than the original Star Wars. But I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'm more than likely going to see this in the theater again, and I'm going to buy this movie on Blu-ray and watch it a lot. Guys, see this movie. But let's be real. You're probably going to see it, or you've already seen it. This movie made like $250 million worldwide on Thursday and Friday, so yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please rate and comment and subscribe. And if you want to, you can also share. I'm sorry if I seemed a bit too ranty at times in this video, just going off like, oh my gosh, this movie's awesome, but I couldn't help it, man. I had to gush a couple times, or at least a couple times in this review, because this movie deserves it. And yeah. I hope you guys are looking forward to my spoiler review. But anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. Goodbye.